Hello, I'm Mayor Ron Rakowski, and welcome to Village Showcase. This past summer, we experienced tremendous success with our first ever Village Read program, promoting the value of reading by recommending a compelling book, linked our community to a common conversation and encouraged dialogue. But just as important, this particular book fostered relationships, lifelong learning, and facilitated a stronger sense of community identity for the citizens of Greenwood Village. Let's take a look at the events that were inspired by this year's featured book, Lake of Fire. After all, some books stay with us forever. We lose ourselves in books, and we also find ourselves there too.
We're here to celebrate the Village Read, which I'm super excited about because this is a partnership between Arapahoe Libraries and Greenwood Village.
Kind of what I would like to do tonight is speak briefly about the book and then begin to ask some questions of Mark and give him an opportunity, of course, to speak.
First of all, I just really want to thank everybody who put this on. And I'm the son of two librarians, so I don't know if that, yes. Raised outside Boston, Massachusetts, raised in a family of books. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my parents and raising me around books and literature and just learning to love to learn, learning to love to read just for entertainment, all that good stuff. So just wanted a quick thanks to all the folks who invited me. This is extremely, it's just such an honor. I know you had lots of choices and it's just, I feel so lucky to be picked. I feel like I won the lottery.
I wanted to find out about this author. He's a Colorado author, and I think I like anything Colorado, and I love to read a series of books, so that's why I came.
And I just love the background that he had with the fires and all this stuff, where he was in Colorado, and the hunting part. So my brother comes all the way from Wisconsin to hunt here, and I want to give him a book. Oh, I was totally impressed with the idea that you're bringing a community together, not only to read a book, but to experience a lot of the area around here and to meet their neighbors. And I think that's wonderful. I think we need a lot more of that.
I think maybe it'll promote more people getting involved too, which I think would be a really good thing.
Yeah.
The heart and soul of a book stems from the passion and imagination of its author. Colorado author Mark Stevens shared with the Village his award-winning mystery and what inspired him to write this novel.
I think there was some interest in doing a novel that touched on some Colorado themes and Colorado issues, which all four of my books do, deal with some topic involving where Colorado's headed or where we've come from. These ideas of doing presentations around the issues that I raise in the book, around wilderness survival, around hunting. I mean, just the pros and cons of hunting, which my books don't really take sides, but they put it out there that hunting is part of our life. Hunting is part of Colorado's lifeblood. It's there all the time. You know, the other issue in Lake of Fire obviously is a big, huge forest fire, and there's going to be a presentation on fighting forest fires, and that's a major issue for us, especially as development continues to find its way up into the mountains. So it's, it's just been great. From the time I went into journalism and started work as a newspaper reporter and then a TV reporter, or TV producer, I should say, I was really fascinated by how much I read and how much I liked, and I wanted to see how hard it was. So I started writing fiction in the mid-1980s, and I just enjoyed the whole process. I started really learning to love to write. I had some near misses, near hits in terms of getting a publisher, and just kept going and kept learning along the way by joining writing groups, by meeting with friends who write, by talking about writing, thinking about writing, and just kept working at it.
The opportunity to hear you talk about your work, it was interesting.
Thanks for the questions. Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't read a lot of fiction.
Right.
And so the opportunity to hear, and after having read this, a little bit more about what motivated you and how you went about it. So
thank you.
It was very interesting.
I appreciate
it. I wonder
it.
if you'd mind signing this?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, I was here because I read the book as part of the Village Read and was interested in hearing more from the author about what motivated him, and I had a couple of questions, so I wanted to ask him. I enjoy the outdoors. I'm a camper and a hiker, and I just thought, got caught up in the plot and the whole concept of what was going on, and the nuances of the character, as I had asked Mark about that, and just the way the whole thing developed. The idea that there would be opportunities for people to experience the arts and to broaden it just beyond the types of things we've traditionally done, which is the exhibits at the Curtis Center for the arts, to expand it to reading and performances and other things, I think is a great opportunity for the city.
More people are pursuing a lifestyle of self-reliance, making a living by homesteading. Regardless of whether you grew up in the city or the country, living off the land isn't as hard as it seems. Let's meet Erica, the wild food girl, who shared how you can live off the land in Colorado.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys very much for coming. My name is Chris Stevens. I am the Cultural Arts Coordinator for the City of Greenwood Village. This is the first time we've ever done a Village Read program, a One Read program like this, so we're very thankful that all of you guys came out. Tonight you're going to be hearing from Erica, aka the Wild Food Girl. We'll be talking to you a little bit about foraging in Colorado, some of her experiences, some of the things that you can find out in the wilderness.
My name is Erica. I've been eating wild food for many years, about 25 years since my uncle started feeding me things in Connecticut, and with some good results and some less good. But I moved to Colorado in 2008 and I dove into wild food full bore when I moved here. So in that time I've studied wild edible plants in great depth, and what I do is I go out and I identify these plants using multiple field guides and try them, and then eventually figure out how I want to incorporate these foods into my diet. All of the plants I'm talking about I've tasted. Most of them I make part of my diet.
I just saw something on the internet about the ladies speaking about the Colorado edible plants and berries, fruits and seeds, stuff like that. And I've been in Colorado forever, so I know I've walked past this stuff, and you always find berries and you wonder, is this something good to eat or not? And then she went into all sorts of other green things that I had no idea that you could eat those either. I think anything that brings people out and is something new and different is great.
Earlier this week we had the presentation around foraging from a woman who came down from Fairplay and just taught us everything about what to look for to eat when you're out and about in the wilds, how much is out there that you can just basically pluck or pick and start eating. We had almost, I would say, near capacity room for that. It was just a fun evening. Learned a lot.
Whether you're planning your next hunting trip or you're just a little curious about the topic, we have professional tips for you to achieve a successful big game hunt in the backcountry of the great outdoors.
So our motto is collect moments, not things. This is our company, Hunt Data. These are the states we're in. And so truly when you're in the backcountry, you can be out of service, you can be in airplane mode, and you can have a blue beacon show you exactly where you're at. We also do elk concentrations. We do everything from turkey roosts to pheasants to really help hunters out. Because when you first get out there, you have to make sure you're in the right unit. So if you get a tag, it's for a specific unit, and you have to make sure that you are on public ground and not on private. You're going to get yourself in trouble. We have 4 plotters in our business. But they update about 6 maps a year. So in Colorado, this is more information than you may want, but there's some areas that are a limited hunt, and there's other areas that's what's called over the counter. When it's over the counter, I can literally go to Cabela's, buy my tag, go up in the mountain. As long as I'm in an over the counter unit and I'm in the right date, I can hunt there. Don't let setbacks or challenges stop you from achieving your dreams. And if you have had a major setback, begin again. That's one of our favorite sayings.
The reason I was inspired by this character was years ago I met her and she's just up there doing what you're doing. And I think there's no real reason why, other than just traditions and roles and all that stuff, but there's no reason why one human being is expected to experience all that and another type of human being is not. So I think it's just cool, and I'm inspired tonight just listening to your stories.
So I've actually been out and have hunted with them before. Last year we went on that large pheasant hunt that she showed during the presentation, and my girlfriend Courtney has gone out with them several times.
I'm curious to find out more about hunting here in Colorado. I grew up on 80 acres, and I've got brothers who hunt on my parents' property, so I came here it was out of curiosity, and it was a great presentation, so I'm going to push myself along and either get a bow or a gun. Looking forward to it. I love to read, and so after this presentation, I'm going to get the book.
Yeah, we had an excellent turnout the other night for the 2 women hunters, probably a couple dozen, maybe 30 people here with lots of energy.
On average, more than 2,500 wildfires occur in Colorado each year. Let's take a closer look on how wildfires are fought today and challenges with putting out the fire.
We're going to talk about wildfires from a variety of different perspectives tonight. How they're fought, the role of forest policy, and some of those things have changed, and I think that will be very, very interesting. Some of the unexpected consequences of some of our earlier policies, the role of weather, and some of the newer challenges, some controversial. First of all, not so controversial is we have a lot of dead trees from the pine beetle, and therefore the opportunity for wildfires has increased for that reason. The other question is, what's the impact of any kind of climate change that we've had on that? But also, we're going to talk about how does nature operate in these things as far as we understand that, and when we make human interventions, how do we both at times improve, but at times make the situation perhaps worse than it was before.
Mystery writing takes some basic storytelling skills with a goal of creating suspense and thrills for your readers. Hear from an expert on what it takes to create the plot for your story.
Today is a little class called Mystery Writing Essentials, and it's basically just an overview of some of the key elements, key ingredients that go into pretty much every mystery novel. That's the basic idea. There are certain formula things that readers expect. It doesn't mean you have to use them all every time. It doesn't mean you have to use them the same way every time. It doesn't mean you can't trick readers and deceive them and have fun with them a little bit. But there's some just core elements that we want to talk about and sort of build the foundation of how to put together a mystery novel. So we're going to go through some basics. Every one of these basics may have occurred to you. You're probably aware of it. I think it helps to stop and think about it. It helped me to stop and think about it from time to time and go back to what I was missing. There's also, for every little fundamental I'm going to put out here, you can point to a book and say, that doesn't exist in that book, and that doesn't exist in that book, and you're wrong. And no doubt, given the hundreds of thousands of mysteries that have been published, you can point to an example and say, this book didn't follow that formula. And that's exactly the point. The point is to know the formula, and I say formula in a loose term. It's just, these are the expectations. But then you can break the rules. Then you know what you're doing, and the reader almost knows that you're playing with the rules and having fun with it as well, which is all part of the entertainment. The other message I have is, if I can do it, so can anybody else. I absolutely guarantee it. I absolutely believe that. All I did was keep reading, keep writing, keep studying. You get better. I mean, you get more efficient. You get to, figure out what works. You become more critical as you write about sentences, paragraphs, chapters that work or don't work. So easier, not necessarily, but I'd say more efficient. You're moving at a steadier pace and you know where you need to go, at least for me. And I've talked to a lot of other writers, and I think getting published and going through that process of the editing with professional editors who really coach you and show you what's going to cut it and what needs to go to the editing room floor, you get better at analyzing your own stuff.
Our first Village Read was a huge success, as was the finale event, a concert and ice cream social, at Curtis Park. We thank the Village community for its support of our first annual Village Read and this year's book, Lake of Fire, by Mark Stevens. Special thanks to the speakers who presented programs and the Arapahoe Library District for their support. We are very grateful to have community members who supported this event, and we look forward to hosting another Village Read next year. That's a wrap. I'm Mayor Ron Rakowski. Thank you for joining us here at GVTV 8.
The book, Lake of Fire, I really enjoyed it. It was fun knowing that a bunch of people were all reading it at the same time. I wasn't able to go to any of the discussions, but I thoroughly enjoyed it and will probably read more of his books. And I'd love to do it again next year, so it was fun. And I really appreciate them handing out the books. It was a great experience.
We've been proud residents of Greenwood Village since 1977. Great programs, Greenwood Village.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to say I was very impressed with the way everything was handled. I did not expect this kind of party. I just came because I wanted to meet the author.
And the mayor was really entertaining too.
Yes. Yes.
From my perspective, I can't even tell the difference where the city folks stop and the Arapahoe Library District folks begin. It just seems like you're all working as a team to put on these events. And it's a blur, from my perspective, a wonderful blur of organization and detail.